In today's era of unprecedented change and uncertainty, our most powerful asset is how we connect with one another. In the last year, we have seen more disruption, yet more innovation than in perhaps the last 10 years. All of you as leaders have had to reimagine connecting and collaborating in our modern world. Digital tools that got little traction for years are now business requirements, not only for productivity and collaboration, but also for social connection and celebration. And I believe that the question we have to ask ourselves now is no longer how will we adapt to our new normal, but more importantly, how will we create a better normal? How will we take the opportunities that our digital shift has unlocked to be less geographically biased, less visually biased, more inclusive of anyone, anywhere? Now, I'm going to give you an inside view on what digital body language is and how you can use it to build trust and connection while working remote, in a hybrid organization, and even when you're back in the office. Let me start with a short story. Sarah and John have been working together for about 6 years. One Wednesday afternoon, Sarah has an idea for a project, so she starts an email correspondence with John. In the white box is the email exchange between Sarah and John. And the black box is what they actually meant by their email exchanges. One Wednesday afternoon, Sarah has an idea, so she shoots off a note to John saying, "Quick thought, what do you think of this idea for the deliverable?" What she really meant was, "I have a great idea. It's not fleshed out yet, but I'd love to get your thoughts." At about 8 p.m. that night, after a long day of Zoom calls, John receives the note and he's confused. He thought the deliverable was done. He didn't understand why Sarah was sending the message now. He sends a note saying, "How would this fit in? Doesn't seem like you thought this through, ... What he really meant was, "You're closer to the work than I am. I need more context from you." At this point, Sarah's putting her 3 kids to bed and she's frazzled. She can't read his tone and body language. Even though they've worked together for years, she thinks John is upset with her. She spends about 35 minutes that night crafting a structured note with bold and underlined headings, changes the subject title from "Quick Thought" to "Deliverable Changes," and she feels pretty good. John gets this note and thinks to himself, "This is pretty great." He doesn't say that. He just shoots off some more questions to her. Now, at this point, even though John was trying to show interest, Sarah thought his messages were passive aggressive. She waits until the next morning, a little frustrated now, and sends him a note saying, "Can we chat about this before our team meeting tomorrow?" What she really felt was 5 exclamation points. This isn't productive anymore. We need to switch how we're connecting and collaborating. John gets this note. He thinks everything's great. And he sends it, saying, "Actually, can you send your thoughts in writing?" What he really meant was, "I want to get moving on this. This is great. I'd love to better understand this." Now, at this point, Sarah's about to have a heart attack. John thinks actually everything's quite okay. And for Sarah, what could have been a 15-minute exchange took 5 hours of time, stress, and fear over a 12-hour period. Now, I would like to ask all of you listening today to go into the chat right now, and I want you to share if you've ever been in this situation before. I want you to say yes in the chat. And when you do this, I want you to make sure that in the chat, you are clicking not just to all panelists when you're sharing, but to all panelists and attendees so that all 250 of you can see each other's responses. What I also want you to do is tell me, who have you been? Have you been Sarah? Have you been John? Or have you been both? Go ahead and write, "I'm Sarah," or "I'm John," or "I've been both" in different situations. And I want to thank so many of you. The chat is on fire right now. We're seeing, many people saying both. I've been on both sides of this equation. A lot of individuals saying, "Yep, I'm Sarah." And others I have seen, "Thank you, Bryce. I've been John many times." This is just a great example of how we think communication may be easy, but it's not as easy as we think. We all know that roughly 3/4 of face-to-face collaboration is nonverbal body language. Pacing, gestures, facial expressions. These were the cues that helped us understand what people meant. Pre-pandemic, already 70% of teamwork was already virtual. Conference calls, emails, you name it. They were a modern part of our life. Even in the same office, we were trading emails on the same floor. In the last year, that has shot up to 100%. for all the teams that had the capability to do so. And we all know that we're moving back to not the way it used to be, but to a new hybrid world. What this really requires is for us to reimagine collaboration, to not say, let's go back to work, where maybe pre-pandemic, we may not have had great emails, great meetings at that point too, but instead think about how can we transform how we work and move forward in smarter and better ways based on the opportunities that the last year has unlocked. At the same time, this is difficult. Research shows we're more likely behind a screen to misunderstand each other quickly, to speak more freely and sometimes more rudely, dropping our guard, showing less empathy. If we saw that someone was on the verge of tears, we may have adjusted our language, but if we can't see that when we shoot the email off, we may not feel that sense of empathy. We can argue more. Passive aggressive behaviors or assumptions that someone is passive aggressive, just like in the Sarah John story, have shot up. And sometimes we walk away faster. Ghosting is not just a personal thing, it's a professional challenge when we're trying to reach out to prospects, clients, and partners. So today is about how do we bypass these challenges? How do we build trust and connection from afar, even in person, in hybrid formats that are here to stay?